have a special guest. Her name is Jeannie Wilbourn, and I have known you for several years now. I actually met her years ago, back in my radio days. She came and gave her testimony on the radio when I had my own show then, and just a phenomenal person. I wanted her to come in and introduce herself over some coffee today.
Yes.
So my friends could meet her too. Jeannie was raped when she was younger in her childhood, and because of the pain of that tragedy, she turned to drugs and alcohol, which, you know, led to some more abuse. And when I met her, she was a year to maybe a year and a half in recovery, and today she's 4 years clean and sober. Woo! We love that. And you actually went through a 12-step Christ-centered program.
I did.
You did, and it was called Alcoholics for Christ.
Yes.
And which I really had never heard of that until you said that.
Oh, really?
That's phenomenal. I'm going to educate myself on that. And today she leads a recovery study called Hidden Hearts, where she helps other people recover in their drug addiction and works with them, which that's phenomenal, man.
I love what I do.
Yeah,
I really do.
That's really
phenomenal.
phenomenal.
So much out of it from giving in.
Yeah. And you have been married for 22 years?
Yes.
And she has an 8-year-old son. And she has a doctorate in domestic goddess.
Yay, me.
Yeah, yay for stay-at-home moms. Yay!
We're awesome.
Right, exactly. You are. You very much are awesome. So, I want you to share a little bit about your testimony.
Okay.
Tell me. Start from the beginning. Tell me.
Okay. Well, I was a member of the family. I was sexually abused from the age of 3 until almost 10 years old. I did tell my parents probably when I was 12. So several years had passed, and I was blessed that they did believe me and they did understand. So I didn't have to go through all that. I was separated from the family member, and there was just, I know now how big a blessing all that was.
I was just thinking, man, that is just the greatest of all blessings, to have parents that truly look at that and say,
yes.
This has to stop. Because a lot of people from that generation, a lot of parents from that generation, it wasn't so known, it wasn't so heard of, and it was such a hush-hush generation
Right.
when it came to sex, because they looked at it as sex. They didn't look at it as rape, which is what it is. You know, they didn't look at it as rape or sexual abuse, or, you know, so wow.
Right.
That's just amazing.
I was extremely fortunate. Now, unfortunately, they were not able to stop me from getting into drugs and alcohol. And I started drinking, smoking, cussing, swearing, having sex when I was 14.
Because of all this right here, you just trying to sort it out.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was, I knew the drinking was wrong, I knew smoking was wrong, but I didn't know how wrong, and I didn't know why I was doing the things that I was doing. And all of that, the drinking and the smoking and all that, it lasted. I mean, smoking cigarettes and smoking other illicit things, it lasted until in my 30s. So, and I would say anything I could get my hands on, I would do it, but there was things, now I was the type of person, my drug is not as bad as your drug. So therefore, I'm not as messed up.
You're trying to justify what you're doing.
Yes.
Instead of
yes.
looking at the reality of the situation.
Right.
Well, you know, so you go to your parents and you tell your parents this, and all of a sudden you're using drugs and alcohol, and you've got this addiction now. How did this affect your relationships with your friends and your family?
My family, other than my husband, did not know. I stayed away from them. Now, I was doing bad things. I didn't want them to know. And it was pretty easy to keep hidden. Now, my friends, some of them knew I smoked. Some of them knew I drank. But I kept everything away from everybody. And nobody knew exactly what I was doing.
You were functioning, is what you were doing.
My husband
like a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah, exactly. I got up, I went to work. Well, that's about it. I would get up and go to work, and everywhere else would suffer.
Yeah.
Because of it.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there that do that today. There really is a lot of people that they learn to just function, to act natural in public. It's like a mask that you put on, you know.
Yeah.
Well, what was like, so, I mean, I know your son is 8 years old.
Yes.
What was the turning point for you? I mean, you're full into it now. You know, did the guy, let me back up for a minute. Did the person that hurt you, did he go to jail? Was there criminal charges filed? Anything like that?
No, none of that. The police were contacted, and were made aware of the situation, but this man was like very old, and so everybody was kind of hoping that he would just go ahead and not be here anymore. And they didn't want to drag me into court. They didn't want to drag the family into court. So it just kind of rocked on like that.
Did you grow up in church? When you were younger and you were growing up, even before this happened, did your parents raise you in church?
My mother had taken my brother and I for several years until Mom and Daddy got divorced. And then we would go and then we would not. So we didn't grow up in church. We grew up around some people who went to church.
Right, right. But they still taught you biblical principles as far as how you lived your life.
Well, the foundation was set.
Right. And that's really where it starts.
I knew about God, I knew about Jesus.
And you believed.
Yeah.
Which was the difference,
Yeah.
So even when as a teenager, when you're doing drugs and all this stuff, you know, you're not in church. You're not going to church. You're not surrounding yourself with church friends.
No, I didn't.
How did you meet your husband?
Oh gosh,
You didn't know I was going to ask all these deep questions, did you?
we actually, my husband and I were very best friends in 5th grade. And we grew up together, being best friends. So, and we lost touch. He moved for a couple of years, and then in high school, I called him one day, and we started dating after 6 months. And we got married a year after school.
Wow.
We were 18.
And he was not a partier.
No.
Never partied. But there you are. You're drinking and you're doing drugs and were you taking pills?
He went through a little stint with me, and it was both of our faults. I mean, one I allowed and he allowed, and we just we drug each other through it.
But you know, that's really true love, because you have to really stand by and help your spouse. It's not about walking away. It's about, you know, standing by them and helping them through their struggle. And that is a powerful thing to know. You've been married 22 years, and a good majority of this you were on drugs and alcohol.
Yes.
You know?
So sick. I mean, mentally, physically sick. And
well, it had to take a toll on your body.
Yeah, and my body, my marriage, my family.
So did you wait so long to have children because of that? Because your son is just 8 years old.
Well, we were told, after we'd been married about 3 years, we were told by the doctors that we would not be able to have kids. That they didn't really come up with an explanation for it, but I knew that it was because my body was damaged because of the sexual abuse. And I had also been through 2 rapes before I even started dating my husband. So I knew my body was damaged. And while we were trying to get pregnant, I told God, and I did not know what I was telling him when I said I do not want to have kids until I am healed from all this other stuff that has happened. And he honored that. And at the time, I wasn't very happy about it, but I understand now, and I'm grateful.
So you were trying to have children then?
We were.
Right. And so now your son is 8 years old. I know I see on Facebook you have a lot going on with him. I've never met her son, but you do. I see on Facebook that you have a lot going on with him. And now you do have him very active in the church.
Yes. Oh, he gets angry if we do not go to church.
That's good. That's
really
good.
He serves as an usher.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And he's very involved he's got his own little ministry going on.
That is so awesome. So what was the turning point for you? You know, here you are, you're all doing drugs, drinking alcohol, and you have a child at this point.
Yes.
So,
And a child with autism. He was diagnosed with autism at 2 years old. So that's that. I had a year in recovery, and when he was diagnosed with autism, I did not fall. I jumped right back into it. I could not cope. There was no way. So,
let me ask you a question. Do you ever feel like your using of drugs and alcohol contributed to his autism?
no,
You don't?
I do not.
I mean, I don't know much about autism, but for me, as an individual, when I see babies that are born with things, you know, with ailments or whatever, or when I see articles about, you know, that covers the food that we eat and stuff like that, then I kind of associate and I think, well, would that have to do with autism?
Yeah.
If somebody did drugs, would it have to do with autism? Would it have to do with this birth defect or that birth defect? Or,
Yeah.
you know, you kind of have to go back and forth. And so, as a parent myself, my grandson was born with a half a heart. But when I look at other people and I see that their lifestyles with everybody that I meet from the ministries around it, people that use their own life experiences, I always wonder if they blame themselves in any way or think that they could have contributed to it.
You know, I wondered a lot when the diagnosis first came. I was, you know, I thought, but my thoughts were nothing to do with the drugs or the alcohol or any of that, because I had been clean for a year before I got pregnant.
Oh, okay.
So, and I had a full year of nothing but God. My thoughts were, you know, I always felt like, and before I knew the truth, I always heard God doesn't give you more than what you can handle. And I didn't know that was not biblical.
Yeah.
So I thought God knew I couldn't handle any more than, so he did this. God did not do that. So,
Okay, I wondered about that. So, you were saying the turning point for you was really your son having autism. And how are you using your testimony to help others today? I mean, you know, you look back on your life. I look back on my life and I think, who was that girl? You know, it's like,
yes, that girl in the past, if I didn't know better, she would scare me.
yeah.
Because it's such a different life. Oh my goodness.
For me, I feel like I've had 3 different lives. I look at the child I was before the abuse started. That bright-eyed, bubbly little girl who had eyes that lit up the world, you know, shining brighter than the stars.
Yeah.
And then I look at that person I was after the abuse, when I'm in the middle of the abuse,
Yeah.
and the sadness of all that, and the confusion, and it's like I don't recognize that person, I don't know her, she's a stranger to me. And then I look at me now and I think, I've gotten to know that girl,
Yeah.
and I've gotten to love her, and I've accepted her, and she's my friend.
And that's hard to do.
It really is.
I've been working on accepting that girl for 6, 7 years. And you know, there's a saying in recovery, some are sicker than others. And this is like the 9th time I have done the hidden heart, and I get something out of it every single time. So I'm thinking maybe I was one of those that was sicker than others. But that's okay, because God has brought me so far.
Well, I think that you have to look at the fact that you can't change your past.
No.
It doesn't matter which way you look at it, you will never be able to change it. And when you come to an understanding that I can't change this, but I can look at it and I can say, what can I learn from it? You know, and understand that you're stronger because of it. You're more independent because of it. You love deeper because of it.
Yes.
You have more compassion because of it. You have more empathy because of it. You know, when you look at all that, you have to say, man, if that hadn't happened to me, I may not be strong in those areas. I may not be able to reach out to people the way that I can. It's a gift that I'm able to take my past and hug somebody else and say, you know what, it's all right.
Yeah.
You know, there's something to that. You know, God, it even says in the Bible, you know, you help others with what you have been through.
Right.
I wish I could remember that verse off the top of my head. So if you could give one piece of advice to people that you talked to today, what would it be?
Don't wait. Don't wait any longer. When I finally reached my breaking point, I said, God, there's got to be more. This cannot be all there is. There has got to be more. It's not worth it. And there is more. Don't wait. Call. Call out. Because He is waiting for the call so He can answer.
And if you have been abused or are in the middle of being abused in your family, and you tell someone and you are not believed, tell somebody else. Tell somebody until somebody listens. Keep telling, keep talking, keep telling, keep talking, because no one is going to love you less. No one is going to disrespect you. If they do, you need to tell somebody else, because that person is not understanding where you're coming from. They're not educated in their mind enough to know what they need to do. You tell somebody else. You go knocking door to door till somebody listens, till somebody puts a stop to it. And you love you. You know, you take care of you. Go out and do that. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Most importantly, I want to give a big shout out to my friend Tim Hicks with Avocare. Man, he's got some products that just rock. If you're interested in learning more about what he has and the workout videos and how he's lost all this weight and he's gotten healthy, click on the link on the Kerri Chronicles site under Avocare and contact Tim. He would love to talk with you. If you have something you want to share with us, please share your thoughts on the show. We'd love to hear them. If you have a suggestion or a topic of a show you want us to do, share that too. We'll have all the contact information at the end of the screen. If you want to give your testimony, man, we love to hear people's testimony. If you've got something you know could help someone else, and every testimony helps, because everybody has a different walk, contact us. We would love to have you on the show. We'd like to drink some coffee with you. And always remember, keep it real and keep it Christ.